Hello everybody. I am coming to you live from outside of my garden. It's very warm here today and a little breezy, so hopefully there's no background noise. But so some interesting things are going on for me personally, and I thought it might be a good teaching moment for me to share with all of you. So one of our themes this month in July that I'm doing the healing circle on later in July around the 21st is called Clearing Capitalism. And we also have this theme of releasing resistance this month. And those are two really interesting energies to go together. So, I work with people on their money story quite a lot. It is something that is really complicated for most people because there are so many components to it. We have an ancestral component oftentimes. We have things that we witnessed in our childhood. We have stories that go back in our family around money. And then we have this added layer of complexity around the pressures that we are put under here on this planet to make more and be more successful and do more. And I kind of call that the energy of capitalism. And capitalism itself is not bad, right? The reason why that is here, according to my guides, is that we needed to learn about the exchange of energy, the flow of energy. And money is one way that we are learning that here on this planet. But I've had something very interesting happening for me in the last week or so, and I just thought it was a good example to give to you all. So I'm about to host a retreat later this week, and when you're hosting a retreat, you have to put a lot of money out to rent the place and have the place available ahead of, receiving the money back that the people pay you for coming to the retreat. And so I made a deposit, and then I made another deposit. And the second deposit went through on my side just fine. I can see it on my Amex card. Everything happened. But when I talk with the lovely lady who's running the retreat center, she has no record of it. And I'm kind of chuckling to myself because I feel like this is such a beautiful representation of where I have had resistance in flow related to money. I'm a Taurus, and I'm all about budget and security and safety, and that's really important to me. And the thing about that, though, that makes it difficult in the money story is that money is a flow of energy. And if we hold on to it too tightly, meaning if we have anxiety every time we go to spend it, then we're letting the universe know that we don't want any more to come in because we're afraid to let go of it. Right? So when you hold too tightly to something, when you're in resistance to letting go of something, when you're in attachment to something, it doesn't flow, right? And so it's kind of comical that I have let go of that resistance. I've made this payment, and yet the person who's supposed to receive it still hasn't gotten it. And of course, it'll all be worked out. Amex has beautiful customer service, and it'll be fine. But it's like this beautiful representation of the resistance that many of us feel either in receiving money or sharing or giving money, spending money, right? And so I would ask you all this month to look at where you have resistance around money. What do you have trouble spending it? Do you have trouble saving it? Do you have trouble receiving it? And lean into that resistance and maybe start to inquire about why that resistance is present. Think about your family. Think about your mom and your dad and what their money story was. Think about your spouse, if you have one, or your partner, if you have one, and how they look at money. And the other really interesting thing that has been coming up quite a lot is that this capitalistic energy creates this feeling of powerlessness in our field. And when we do this healing circle on the 21st, what we're going to focus on is clearing anywhere in our body, in our energy body, in our physical space, hello Bumblebee, that is in resistance or feeling powerless, feeling like it's in a victim space. Because money has a way of doing that. This capitalistic energy, it does have this feeling of taking over, of being kind of an oppressive force. And so if you're in resistance and feeling powerless in your money story, look to where that is for you. Look to where it's coming from. Like, sit down and do a little bit of detective work. That's what I do in my day-to-day sessions with people, is I kind of do the detective work for them. But you are all capable of doing this if you can just give yourself 15 or 20 minutes to say, where am I in resistance? And maybe where is that coming from? And what I quite like to do, when resistance energy is present, and I mentioned this in the last video that I shared with you all, is I like to first drop into pause and grace. And so what that means, and we'll speak to it specifically around money here since that's what I'm talking about. You feel the resistance. Okay, I'm in resistance to letting money go, let's say. Well, where does that come from? Let me pause and let me think about that. Okay, well, that might come from my story and what I witnessed with my parents. It might come from another lifetime that I'm aware of. It might come from what I see in society and the things that I see on the news. It might come from a lot of different places. And so that's what we come up with in the pause, right? The pause is there to get us to think, get us to drop in. And then we quickly follow that pause with grace, meaning, okay, I love myself anyways. I love that there are parts of me that are in resistance to releasing money. And maybe I ho'oponopono that, meaning that I say, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. I come into this place of forgiveness with self, that I'm carrying these patterns, that I'm perpetuating these patterns. And so especially if you're somebody who spends a lot and you beat yourself up about that, or you feel like you're using money to fill a void, this grace is especially important, okay? Especially in that case. Because if you're in judgment of yourself for this pattern, that pattern cannot shift, it cannot change. And so it's important when we give the grace that we come into this place of self-forgiveness, and then we pause again and we say, hey universe, hey God, hey source, hey whatever you believe in, hey ancestors, hey Mama Earth, the universe, love, whatever you believe in, I need some help. I need some help in clearing this pattern, and I need some help in being mirrored to me through the people around me, where else I'm stuck in resistance, where else these patterns might be coming from. And then it's our job, after we ask for help, to pause again and to pay really close attention to what's happening around us and pull those data points in and start to make some internal changes. And maybe we have to go through that grace process again before we can take the action to change it. And so practice this with money. I mean, this is a beautiful time to be doing this work. There's so many supportive energies for this right now. And, on this healing circle that I have on the 21st, we're really going to be focused on this, but from this place of heart. Because when we are closed down in our heart chakra, we can't draw anything in. We can't magnetize anything to us. And I was explaining this to a client the other day that it's a felt sense. Manifestation, you can do your mantra, you can do your vision board, you can do your letters, you can do all of this stuff, which is all good. There's nothing wrong with any of that. But if you don't feel it in your heart, none of that stuff is going to work, right? It's just things. It's just you doing something. And so it's important that we start with self-compassion, we start with grace, we start with love, so that we can begin to open the heart. That's what that facilitates. And then things can shift. So just a little food for thought for you all today. I wanted to use my life as an example, as I always do, and just share a little bit about this resistance energy that I'm seeing in my own life around money. And hopefully that helps. Put a little comment. Let me know if this resonates. And I'll add in the comments as well a link to the healing circle on the 21st. It's on a Wednesday at 7:30. And thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a beautiful day. Thanks again. Bye-bye.